All right, what's going on, family? Y'all know I just came back inside the house. I was outside smoking that fine American cigar. All right, so we're actually shooting two YouTube videos today. We shot the first one a little bit earlier. Went outside, took a break, had a cigar, came back in, and that was a very deep conversation. So we're gonna change the mood a little bit, and we're gonna talk about our introduction, our long-awaited introduction to cigars and whiskey. Right. All right. So this is gonna be a more fun video than the last one. Okay, so one question that I get a lot is, Les, why do you smoke cigars? All right, I'm going to answer it right now for the whole world to see. I smoke cigars because I'm a real man. Joking, joking, joking. I am joking. Okay, um, so as y'all know, I'm a veteran. I'm a combat veteran, right? And actually, growing up as a kid, I didn't smoke at all, right? So my father used to smoke. He smoked Newports, as a matter of fact. Okay, and hey, even before I get into this story, understand that I am not condoning by any means, way, shape, or form smoking or drinking, right? This will be an adult video. This is for the older crowd, right? And I will also label it as such within the YouTube community, just so you're aware. But anyways, I joined the military, you know, right out of high school, and then I went away. And so many years ago, the war first started, and we were we went out on a mission, and we came back, and we actually lost a couple guys. And so I went into the talk to go debrief my chain of command about what happened, and told them what happened. And then as I was leaving, um, one of the people who worked there, he stopped me in my tracks, and he said, "Parham," he said, "what's wrong with you?" You know, I'll never forget how he used to talk. And I said, I don't know, I had a rough day. I guess you could see all over my face. And I told him, I was like, I'm gonna just go chill. I'm gonna take a shower and probably just go lay down. He was like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." He was like, "Come here, come here." And back in the days, back in the day, right? um, those old guys who had been in the military for a while, whenever they told you something like that, and if they was old school, you listen, because them jokers will jack you up. So but he told me to come here. I walked over there, and he knew that I wasn't right. I'm typically always upbeat. He knew something wasn't right, and he says, he pulls out this long cigar, right? And he's like, "You see this? We gonna go outside, and you're gonna smoke this, right?" Now, let me continue setting the scene. Right. Keep in mind, I don't smoke at all, and this dude just pulled out a cigar the size of my daggone arm and told me that I was gonna smoke it. I was like, "But I don't smoke." He was like, "So?" Right. So again, he was one of them old school cats. And when he said stuff, you just kind of had to do it. That's, for the older crowd that's watching me that was in the military back in the day, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Right. So, anyways, we went outside behind the talk, the building, and there was like the smokers area. There was like a little I don't know, not like a tree root, but like a log that had been cut and it was turned sideways, and people used to stand around it and sit on it and smoke or whatever. So we sat down, and he told me, he was like, "You look like you need to talk," you know, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm good." He was like, "Sit down." So I sat down, and he cut the cigar, gave it to me, put it in my mouth, he lit it. He was like, "You gonna sit down and we gonna talk. You gonna smoke that and you gonna be fine." And I was like, "But I don't smoke." He was like, "Shut up, smoke, talk." Right. So that is exactly what happened. I sat there, and to this day, which I still talk to him on a pretty regular basis, because he was one of my original mentors, and I thank him all the time for that session, right? But I don't know. It was a rough time. It was kind of a rough deployment, and um, I just started smoking, and I just started talking. I just started smoking. I just started talking. I was chiefing this thing, right? And I remember halfway through the conversation, he would tell me, he's like, "Slow down, you're smoking to do that." And I was like, "No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." And I just unloaded. I just downloaded on this dude, and just told him everything that was going wrong with the mission. What happened. That went to the deployment, and then that went to life. Next thing I know, the entire cigar is gone, right? And the weird thing about that was after it was gone, I instantly felt better. And I stood up and I was like, I actually feel pretty good. Literally, as soon as I said that, I guess my tobacco blood content went right, and the world, because we were outside, started spinning, and apparently I was green, and I got sick as a dog. And he goes, "Sit down. I told you was smoking it too fast. Blah, 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 blah. Did you inhale? Blah, 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 blah." Right? And he was just giving me the business, and I was so sick. Oh my god. Like maybe for like 2 or 3 days, I was sick as a dog. Right? I didn't know it then, but at that time, right, he gave me a triple robusto Cuban cigar, and we'll get into exactly what that is, and down the line in the series, right? And it was weird because after I spent a couple days sick, I was purposely avoiding him because I looked like a little punk at that point, but you know, I thought about it like a week later, and the crazy thing about that is, even though I was sick, I actually felt better. It was weird, right? It was really, really weird. So I went back to him a few days later, and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to go smoke?" So the real answer to why do I smoke cigars is literally because on a deployment in the Middle East, a friend introduced me to it, and I smoked my first cigar was a Cuban on a mountaintop in Pakistan at roughly 13,000 feet elevation. So, but the important thing is how we're going to do this specific series of videos, right? So, those of you who follow us, you'll know that on the website, right, you can actually go there and you find the link that says Peace Corner, or you can just go straight to Peace Corner, which is a website that we have set up within our website that actually houses all of our videos, and it's got a bunch of cool interactive features, right? So that is the actual um, Peace Place, and this is Peace Place at Peace Corner, which is my website, Peace Corner 433, right? So what we are kind of doing right now, because we really just introduced this concept, is we are laying the groundwork for all of the videos. And what will happen is the videos will start off in the very beginning, and then like a chapter in the book will currently do more and more and become more and more advanced, right? So this is simply the introduction to cigars and whiskey, or what we call a pairing, right? Now, understand my goal. So if you're a seasoned cigar smoker, okay, you're gonna want to join us within like videos, 5, 6 of this specific series. I mean, you can always watch, comment, like, and describe below. That's fine, right? But what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to introduce this thing that we love and that we do to people who actually have questions about it, right? So initially, that is what we're gonna cover. Okay. Um, what type of cigars do I like? Let's see. So, as you can tell, I pretty much like them all, right? Yeah, I've been smoking for a long time. But the real question is, if you're new to this, what exactly do you need to know? And that is what we're going to cover here shortly. So stick with us.
Okay, and now as y'all can see, we are back. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to break down
just in general, a couple things that you want to be aware of, especially for a new cigar smoker. Okay, so number one, the first thing is any real cigar, you're going to have to cut it. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. There's actually more than a couple different ways to do this. And there's a whole bunch of different things and techniques that you can use, which we will go over in depth in future videos. But for general purposes, I just want to show you in general what you should be looking for. All right. So this one is a large gauge, okay, cigar cutter. All right. A large gauge is going to be good for the larger cigars. All right. And this one is a more fancy one. As you can see, it came with a little leather sleeve, a little leather sheath. This one actually came with a kit, but as you can see, the hole here is smaller. And in cigar talk, we call that gauges, right? Okay, so if you can afford it, definitely recommend you buy a cigar cutter. All right, what I would do is I would buy a normal size one, and I would also buy a large gauge one. These are relatively cheap. It won't break the bank. All right, slide it on down the line. Okay, so now these are what we call punches. Okay, and again, I'm going to cover this in depth in future videos. So both of these, the reason why I'm showing both of these is number one, a punch is easy to carry. You can load it onto your car keys, which as you can see, there's mine. And this is a little punch that I carry around all the time. It's very simple. It simply twists, disappears, twists, and reappears. And then you would use that to punch a hole into your cigar. This one's another keychain model. As you can see, it actually has 3 holes so that it gives a punch cut of 3 different shapes. All right. So again, we're going to cover all this stuff in depth in a later video, but just something for you to think about is step number 1, before you purchase your cigar, you have to find a way to cut it. All right. All right. Step 1, find a way to cut the cigar, right? Recommendation there is that you purchase your own cutter. However, certain establishments, they will actually cut the cigar for you. Okay, so moving on, step 2. All right, you have to find a fire source, right? So there's a couple of things here that we're going to talk about. And keep in mind, we're going to go over this in depth in later videos. There are literally thousands of ways to do this. There's thousands of products out there. I'm just going to show you what I use the most. Okay, so basically you have 2 things you can pick from. All right, we're going to start off with the lighters first. Okay, notice that cigar lighters are a little bit bigger now. And again, this is a personal preference because some people are fans of soft flame. All right. And again, we will cover that in the video that covers proper ways to light a cigar. But for right now, we just want to get you thinking, especially for the new cigar smokers. Okay. So this is a nice one that I picked up from Cigars International. All right. This would be classified as a torch. Okay. Just be advised, if you buy a torch or a cigar lighter of this style, you're going to have to fill it, right? The good ones here use butane. So be aware of that. That would be an additional cost, right? This is actually one that I've had for quite some time. This is a Perdomo bottle, and I've had this for years, all right? Same thing here. You're going to have to fill it when it runs low, but this is also a torch, right? If you're going to be a real cigar smoker, then the recommendation is definitely to get a couple of nice lighters. These work well for outside. Maybe you're on a golf course, whatever the case may be. You know, a little bit of wind, you got a torch, get you squared away in no time, right? Now, with the matches, one mistake that I see all the time is cigar establishments that give away cigarette matches for cigars. Okay, you'll notice that this cigar match, this actual cigar match, is a lot longer. Okay, the reason being is because the cigar itself is going to produce a little bit more heat when you light it. And if you go to a reputable company, which I strongly recommend before you purchase cigars anywhere, get online, do your research, figure out the reviews, and figure out where that company rates, and then you make your decision from there. Okay, cigar matches are a lot longer than normal matches. If the place you go to gives you cigar matches, I or it gives you cigarette matches, I probably wouldn't go back. All right. These are some of my favorite. As you see, I've kind of worked through that box quite a bit. This is actually a company that I used to go to a lot when I used to live there. So this is the Old Virginia Tobacco Company. Okay. And this is pretty standard issue. Every time you go there, they're going to give you a box of these matches. So step 1, find a way to cut it. Step 2, find a way to light it. All right, on to step 3, which is the big one. So now actually finding a cigar to purchase, right? So we already talked about going online and we talked about going to a reputable company. As you can see here, I just went to one of my humidors. I looked at whatever boxes we had that were open, and I simply grabbed some stuff for the sakes of this video. All right. As you can see, cigars that come in all different shapes and sizes, and we will cover that in depth of what each shape and size is, what each type of cigar is in a future coming video. Okay. The key thing that you want to take away from here is if you're new to cigar smoking, what I would do is after you found a reputable company, I would find a person who works there and, just simply start asking them questions. Just start a general conversation about what it is that you want to look for. If you're new, then tell them that you're new. Let them know that this is your first time buying a cigar, but you want to try something. Recommendation there is to start off with something light. But again, we're going to cover that in depth in another video. For right now, I just want you to see some of the different shapes, some of the different brands. Cigars literally come in all different shapes and sizes. They're kind of like cars. I think that's actually a really good analogy. They are like cars, right? So some people are going to like certain cars better than other cars, and that's okay. But if you're a cigar smoker, if you like tobacco, then we all, I guess, drive a car. The real question is, which car is your favorite? All right. One thing that I do want to bring up, though, is when you go to your establishment, what you'll notice is if the cigar comes in a box, it will not have a wrapper, right? However, you'll notice that this one does, right? So this is actually one of my favorites, believe it or not. I love these sticks. This is a Fat Bottom Betty, and this is made by Drew Estates under the Deadwood Tobacco family. Really, really good stick. But anyways, we'll talk about more of that later. All right. You'll notice that this is actually in a wrapper. Now, this wrapper we call cellophane. You want to say plastic, but it's really cellophane, right? And so what this does is it allows the cigar to keep moisture within itself, right? And you can actually put these cigars in the cellophane into your humidor. And we're going to talk about that more later as well. We have an entire video that just covers humidors, temperatures, pH, the whole 9, right? But don't be afraid to put a stick or a cigar with the cellophane on it into your humidor, all right? Especially if it is some type of flavored or if it's got strong notes, some type of infused, right? Recommendation there is if you can afford it, you actually want to get 2 separate humidors. If you're going to go flavored or infused, you want to keep the flavored or infused in one, and you want to keep normal cigars in the other one. But don't be afraid of the cellophane, right? It's okay. It's perfectly fine. Okay. And as you can see, cigars, they come in all different shapes and sizes, and we will cover that in depth in another video. All right. We are just moving down the line here in our journey to becoming a somewhat seasoned cigar smoker. All right. So number 1, we figured out how to cut it, or we figured out that we had to cut it. Number 2, we figured out that we had to light it. Number 3, we actually purchased something. Number 4, okay? Now, when you go to an establishment, all right, what they should do is they should give you your products, your cigars, in a plastic bag. All right, I just grabbed 2 plastic bags just so I can show you. Okay, as you can see, they come in all different sizes. This is a medium size bag. This is an even bigger bag. All right. Typically what they'll do is they'll give you a clear bag and they'll put your products inside the bag. If you only buy a couple sticks, they have smaller bags than this. All right. If you decide to order your cigars online, or if you order, quite a few cigars and they're not in the box, they also have bigger bags.
Okay. And we're going to cover this in depth in another video that we call storage and handling, right? All right. So moving down, you'll notice these little things right here. And so what this is, right? This is a company called Boveda, right? And what we use Boveda bags for is we use Boveda bags to keep moisture and humidity controlled within the location of where we keep our cigars. You can use Boveda bags in your bag. You can use Boveda bags in your humidor. And again, we're going to cover this all in depth. If I'm saying something that you don't understand, it is okay, because when we get to that video, trust me, you have a thorough understanding of it. You'll notice that even the Boveda bags come in all different shapes and sizes. They also come in different temperatures. We will talk about pH. We'll talk about temperature. We'll talk about all that stuff. The key thing that I need you to know, especially if you're a new cigar smoker, is after you purchase your product, you want to ask the salesperson for a plastic bag. And if you're not going to get to it right away, you want to definitely ask for a Boveda pack. These are very, very cheap. You can order these online. Any reputable establishment is going to sell them. All right. You want to keep the Boveda bag inside your bag. You want to keep your products, the cigars, inside the bag, and you want to keep that closed as much as humanly possible. All right. So again, this is going to fall in the if you can afford it category, right? If you're going to smoke cigars, you can smoke cigars outside and you don't need an ashtray. But if you're going to be in some type of covered area, some type of semi-covered area, you're going to be indoors, you're definitely going to want an ashtray. Okay. The key thing that we want you to know here is cigar ashtrays are normally bigger than normal ashtrays. So this is a really nice one. It's just a little glass piece. I've actually had this for years. I actually keep this out on my back porch. Surprisingly, it's clean. Right? So something like this you can get from, a pawn shop. These are not very highly expensive, but this is a nice one that I like to use. I do keep it outside. It sits there on the regular, and I've had it for years. Key thing that you need to know here is that the cigar ashtray is going to be a little bit bigger, actually a lot bit bigger than a normal ashtray. Okay. This is a product. Again, I am a huge fan of Perdomo. The owner of the company, Nick Perdomo, is a veteran. He's a former Navy man. So was I. I do own a veteran company, and we do support other veteran companies. So you'll notice the size of this one. So this is a very, very nice decorative one, right? I typically keep this in my house in one of my offices, and I only really use this if I'm trying to entertain clients or whatever the case may be. But this is a nice showpiece one. This one's going to be a lot more expensive, but just to show you the different ones that come out. And then on top of that, they even have collector models, right? So this is a Ave Maria, and an Ave Maria cigar ashtray. And this is a collector. I've actually never even used this one. It's a certain type of wood with a certain type of glass right there. All right. But just to show you that cigar ashtrays are a lot different than cigarette ashtrays. I mean, you can really have a lot of fun with this. If you're with somebody and they're a cigar smoker, it makes a great gift. You can personalize them however you want. And there's a bunch of different products out there that you can get. The key thing here is while you're at the establishment, if you plan on smoking indoors, then you're definitely going to want something to catch the ashes in. All right, now y'all are definitely going to laugh when I go through this next step, right? But somebody is going to appreciate it. Okay, so if you're with somebody, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, significant other, husband, wife, whatever the case may be, uh, sometimes what happens is the person who you're with doesn't like the smell of you after you go outside and smoke cigars. And I've heard both cases. I've met people who love how cigar smells. I've met people who hate how cigar smells. And I smoke. And so this is really going to be a note for the guys. So I will tell you, with your significant other or your lady or your dude, whoever, if they don't like how you smell after you smoke, then as you're leaving the reputable establishment where you just bought your cigars from, my recommendation is to stop in a couple of different places and get this before you get home. So a lot of people always ask me, especially when they first meet me, they don't realize that I smoke. They say, well, Les, you always smell so good. Well, that's because I use soap and I wash on a regular basis and I use cologne, right? But there's a trick. So if you smoke cigars, the recommendation is find ways to cover, mask, and remove that smell. So, fellas, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? In the morning when you're getting ready, you do what? You take a shower, you brush your teeth, you spray on some cologne. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to bring the cologne with you in the car. You don't want to bring the cologne to work. You don't want to be spraying it all hours of the day because, you know, certain colognes can be very, very expensive. Same thing for the ladies. Certain perfumes can be very, very expensive. So what do? Well, there's a couple places that I frequent a lot, right? So I find myself inside Bath and Body Works. I find myself inside Target. I find myself inside Walmart and body sprays. Believe it or not, fellas, body sprays and ladies, right? So this one is just a simple Axe. I don't even know what this scent is. I typically buy these 5 at a clip, and anywhere where I smoke cigars, I always have some type of body spray, right? Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to be wasting our cologne that we've already applied once. So typically the way it happens is you get ready in the morning, you spray on your cologne, maybe during lunch or whenever you know, smoke a cigar. If you have to go back into work or if you have to be around somebody who doesn't prefer the smell, you got a couple of different options. You can take off whatever clothing you had, or you can just get like a little cheap. I think I got this from either Walmart or Target, right? It's not too bad. The smell's decent. Make sure y'all smell it. All right, girls and guys, make sure you smell it before you buy it. And if it's okay, if it's going to work for you, then just be aware. If you're going to be around other people who don't appreciate the smell of the smoke, spray yourself down. Not heavy. We're not 15, right? But actually work on that. And here's something else as well, too. Now, I am actually going to show y'all a couple of products that I actually use on a regular basis. Now, yes, this is toothpaste. Don't crucify me, right? Believe it or not, these toothpastes actually come from my bathroom. All right. So this is a Crest product, and this is a Colgate product. Of all the products that I used, what I'm trying to tell you the most is if you are a serious, stronger, heavy cigar smoker, the recommendation there, if you haven't tried it, try a toothpaste that is a charcoal alternative. Okay. I don't know the science on it. Somebody who's smarter than me, please let me know in the comments. But there's something about charcoal. What I found through my life is that number one, it keeps my teeth white. Number two, it somehow neutralizes the taste and the smell of the cigar on your breath. So, you know, I know some of y'all are not going to know this, but believe me when I tell you, I've pretty much used all these products, and these are the two that I like the most. It'll freshen you up in no time. You got a little spray if you got to go back in there, you know, brush the little chiclets, and then you'd be good to go. Brand new. They will never even know that you had a cigar. So just something else for you to think about while you're on your way home. Okay, and one question that we also get a lot is, all right, so you watched the first half of this video and you understand everything up until this point. So one question that I get a lot from a lot of my friends who are new to cigar smoking is they say, well, how do I know if the box is good? Believe it or not, we're going to have an entire video that's going to break down the markings on the box and how you know if they're good. But in general, what you want to look for is a couple of different things, right? So what we have right here, this is the new Romeo and Julieta Envy, right? This is a very, very good, reputable cigar. It is a very good cigar. This is actually a limited edition. But I don't want to get too excited or get into that too much because that's a whole different video. Right now, what I want you to know is if you have a box of cigars, right, you purchase an entire box, you will notice that this entire box has been wrapped in cellophane, right? See that? Everything has been wrapped in cellophane. Okay. And that is actually how you want it to come. So now when you go to the cigar store, a lot of them have walk inside humidors, and within those walk inside humidors, they will have what they call as a display box. That display box will be open, and that display box will have cigars inside of it. Be aware that sometimes some of those display boxes, the cigars have been taken out, put back in. Sometimes they can be handled a little bit rough, and sometimes those cigars didn't come with that original box. So what I always do when I go to purchase an entire case of cigars, number one, again, go back to what I said originally, find a reputable establishment. And number two, when you get your box, you want your box brand new. Okay. You don't want to buy the display box. You want a brand new box with fresh products. Notice how it's wrapped in the cellophane. And also, if you look closely, you'll notice, remember we talked earlier about the company Boveda? This was actually wrapped, and as you can see, there is the sticker right there. There it is right there, right? From the factory, this has been wrapped and sealed with an actual Boveda packages inside, right? So these are the two things that you want to look for if you're going to buy a box. There's nothing wrong with looking at, whatever floor models or whatever display models they might have, but be aware especially if it's something very high end, right? What I would never do is I am not paying high end prices for a box of cigars that was a display box. You need to negotiate that price. Okay. But if it is a good box of cigars, if it comes wrapped in the plastic, if it comes with that seal, that guarantee, then you know you're really getting what your money's worth is. That's the important thing to know here. All right, so we are bringing this video to a close. Those are pretty much the key things that you want to know, but also keep in mind this is an introduction video. And one thing that we are going to talk about in depth, and the one thing that I get a lot of questions about is pairing, right? So pairing. So pairing is pretty simple. Pairing is simply mixing or being served your cigar with either your favorite spirit or the spirit that goes with that specific type of cigar. Okay. And there's a bunch of different ways to do this. A lot of this is recommendations based off flavor notes and tastes. So one thing that we got asked to do with this video is to introduce a couple of different flavor profiles, which I'll actually do right now. But just be advised, as we do the cigar and whiskey videos, we will always end them with the pairing, right? So what you can't see because it's a little bit off camera, directly to my left is everything that I started the video with. And there's also 2 wet bars up here. So I'm going to try and grab what I can. So we'll start off with this guy right here, which I am probably actually going to smoke this after I finish this video. All right. This is a very, very good stick. So this is made by a company called Davidoff. This is actually the Nicaragua 10th anniversary. Amazing stick. Okay. For me, and of course the year this was made was 2013, right? For me, you want to pair this stick with a Nicaraguan rum, because that's really the perfect match, that can bring out the spice notes and the less sweet tastes within this cigar. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at what I have to my left here. So what I'm going to try and do is I want to look for a rum or a spiced rum, because what I want to do is I want to bring out the cigar's aromas. In this cigar, you're going to find black coffee, you're going to find roasted nuts, and you're going to find oak wood. So let's see. Let me reach over here real quick. That stick right there, what would I pair that with? If you've never tried this, then you definitely should try it. This is a B13 rum. It is amazing. And again, we're going to cover this stuff in depth. All you have to do is go to any reputable establishment that sells liquor or spirits, and they're going to be able to tell you exactly what that is. If you've never tried B13, you really should. This is also another good one, right? So this is actually the 10th anniversary. This is Millenario. This is an amazing. So just that combination right there would be a killer combination, depending upon your price point. A little bit more expensive, a little bit less expensive. A little bit more flavorful, a little bit less flavorful. Nonetheless, they're both rums and they would work well with that specific cigar. Okay, let me see what else I can reach over here. All right, so, oh yeah, this is all, man. Y'all, hey, these videos are getting me excited. Let me tell you, these videos are getting me excited right now. All right, so this is another one of my favorites. I am a huge fan of Arturo Fuente. Huge fan of Fuente products. So this is the Arturo Fuente Gran Reserva. This happens to be one of my favorites. So here within this stick, this is a very nice, deep, dark Maduro. Okay, and I'll explain what that is in another video. Notice with this is a darker color cigar, a black cigar. This has dark, rich leaves with notes you're going to find here, notes of espresso, chocolate, and even a touch of leather. Okay. So for me, a cigar like this is going to pair the best with the single malt, right? And we're going to cover those in depth, right? But for that specific stick, because I keep boxes of those on hand, I am going to go directly to Glenmorangie. I absolutely love it. This is a 14 year. This is the port cast finish. That is an amazing single malt to actually pair with that. And if I wasn't going to go there, then you already know I'm going to the Lagavulin. You just have to. This is a 16 year. This is Scott, and it's a beautiful whiskey, right? So either one of these would work amazing with that cigar, in my opinion. And that, in short, is pairing. Keep in mind, we will go over this much, much more detail in later videos. All right, now we're gonna check this box out. I got my little bread knife that I'm gonna use to open the box. Okay, again, these are the Romeo and Juliet, the Envies. This is a very, very good cigar. As you can see, when it's wrapped properly, the cellophane is a little bit difficult to get into. All right. Okay. And again, notice how we have the seal. That is sealed from the factory. That will need to be cut. Let's see what we got here. All right. Just like what we talked about before, notice that it does come with the Boveda pack, right? This is from the factory. This talks specifically about the Envies, right? And this is pretty much what you get. Beautiful sticks. We'll talk more about what type of cigar that is in a later video. Thanks for watching.
Oh yeah. All right, my people. Oof, Davidoff, such an amazing stick. I'm so excited. All right, so y'all already know what time it is because y'all know what I got to do. Thanks for watching. Information is listed right there. Do me a favor, like, follow, speak in the comments, right? We will go in depth about cigars and whiskey. We'll go in depth about pairing. Remember, this is just our introductory video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you take what you learned. All right, 2 and 2. Be right back at you.